remember being on the highway patrol and having a jury trial. And in magistrate's court, the highway patrol prosecutes its own cases. And so they have a jury panel. They will call a name, and we can look at that person and we can say, yes, I would like that person to serve on the jury. The defense attorney would then look at the person and say yes or no, whether they wanted that person to serve on the jury. And I would get 6 strikes, or I could turn down 6 people. The attorney could turn down 6 people. So we were selecting a jury one day, and they called a gentleman's name. He stood up. I looked at him and I recognized him. He was a person that probably 2 or 3 months before I had arrested him and charged him with driving under suspension. And I had to think about that. I didn't have long to make a decision, but I had to think about that. Should I strike him? Because he might have a grudge against me and say, he arrested me, and whatever he does, I'm going to go against it. Or he could say, he treated me fairly. It was my fault that I was driving under suspension. He was nice to me, and, he treated me politely and so forth, and did not give me a hard time. And so if I was guilty, that fellow probably is too. So I was thinking, what should I do? And I flipped a coin in my head, and I decided I was going to let him serve on my jury. And the whole time that I was prosecuting this driving under the influence case, I was kind of looking at that guy thinking, what's he thinking, and how's this going to work out? At the end of the time, the jury went back. They came back with a verdict of guilty. And I realized that he looked at it from the standpoint that if I was fair to him, then I was fair to this guy also, and he needed to be convicted. Well, my name is Richard Coleman. I'm the pastor at Shepherd Church of the Nazarene in Lexington, South Carolina, and it's great to spend just a few moments with you today. I've been looking at the time when, after Jesus' resurrection, when he was still walking the earth, and the scriptures tell us that he did that for about 40 days after he came from out of the tomb. And at the end of that 40 days, he appeared before the disciples, and they asked him a question. They said, "Are you ready to bring your kingdom about?" In other words, are you ready to jump on the back of a white horse, grab a sword, and get Israel out from under the bondage of the Roman Empire? Are you ready for us to, be your people that's right under you, that we can be governors and so forth? And that's kind of what was anticipated after Jesus had done all these other miraculous things. It's time for Israel to become free again. But Jesus looked at them and he said, it's not my timetable. It's God's timetable. And how God's going to do it and when God is going to do it, it's going to be left up to God. He said, I'm not in charge of that timetable. He said, but I will tell you this. He said, what you guys need to do is to go and be witnesses in Jerusalem and Samaria and to the uttermost parts of the earth. When I think about that, I think Jesus intentionally said those words for them and for us. I think they got it right off. I have a tendency of not being quite that quick. I had to think about it. Jerusalem would have been home turf for all of those disciples. I mean, Jerusalem would have been where the temple was, where all the religious activities take place. I mean, Jerusalem. Yeah, that's, people like us in Jerusalem. We're very similar to people in Jerusalem. I mean, we're comfortable there. But then Jesus said Samaria. Now, Samaria had been the capital city whenever Israel had broken into two different nations at one point in their history. Samaria had been the capital of that part of the country, and they set up their own temple, their own way to worship. Also, they strayed from God. They intermarried, and so they were not just all Jewish. They were just mixed in with all other types of peoples and religions. And so therefore the Jews, they kind of rolled their eyes when somebody said they were from Samaria. Matter of fact, oftentimes Jews would kind of go out of their way to not have to go through Samaria. But Jesus said, I want you to be witnesses in Jerusalem and Samaria and in all the other parts of the world. So Jesus was telling them quite clearly, I want you to go to the places where you are comfortable, and I want you to be a witness in the places where you are not comfortable. So how does that work for us? It might even be, and sometimes that it's tougher for us to be a witness where we're comfortable, and that might have been part of Jesus's message. Sometimes the hardest people to witness to might be those that we live with. When they see us whenever we're tired, they see us when we first wake up in the morning. They see us after we've worked all day, and we just don't want to talk to anybody. I mean, they see us during the worst times of our life. Those might be the people that's hardest to witness to because they've seen us at our worst. I've even heard of a person one time that wanted to be a missionary. And so they went and they said, I'd like to know what it takes for me to become a missionary. And so the person that they were talking to asked them, they said, what do you do now where you're currently living as far as going out and witnessing to people? And they said, well, I don't do anything now. And they said, well, you can't be a missionary because just because you go to a different place, a place that's not as familiar or that you're not comfortable, you are not going to do any more there than you would right where you are now. And they told that person, if you want to be a missionary, then you need to be a missionary where you are first. So how does that hit you? What kind of witness are we to the people that are around us? And being a witness doesn't necessarily mean that I have to carry a Bible everywhere I go and quote scripture everywhere I go. Oftentimes a witness is living a Christian life in front of people. And so there's times whenever we may not feel like doing something. There's times when we don't want to make the phone call or go over and encourage someone. But we realize that to be the witness that Jesus needs me to be, I need to go that extra mile. Those people need to see something different in my life than a person who is not a Christian. And then I think once we've done that, then we can go to people that it's out of our comfort zone, people that we really, they're different from us. They think differently than we do. And it's not that we have to preach them or tell them that they are wrong in their beliefs, but to be that light that shines, to be able to allow them to see God in our life. That's what Jesus told the disciples that day. He said, don't worry about trying to conquer the world. Don't worry about everything being great with our nation. You take care of business with the people that you come in contact with. You be that light for God on a daily basis. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you. May you truly light up the world this week as you live for Jesus. Thanks for taking the time and viewing today.